Way 2. That's going to be a problem for the next several hours. Meanwhile, here in Albuquerque, we've had half an inch of rain. Santa Fe, over an inch of rain. So undoubtedly, there's been some flooding here, and many roads were underwater earlier tonight in Rochester, New York.
At 17.8 north, 48.5 west. That puts the center about 850 miles east-northeast of the Leeward Islands. The winds, 85 miles per hour. It's moving off to the west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. And the pressure with Danielle, 979 millibars. So this is another hurricane that we're going to be paying very close attention to. So things have gotten very active here in the tropics very quickly. So again, we'll continue to keep you updated on both of these systems. We also want to take a look at what's going on in the Pacific, and we have Hurricane Howard here. You can see the coordinates, the winds 120 miles per hour and the pressure at 960 millibars. So we'll keep an eye on this one as well. But of course, keeping an eye on Bonnie and keeping an eye on Danielle in the Atlantic, which may strengthen further. Well, here's the big picture.
Hurricane Bonnie closes in on the Carolina coastline this morning, and that's our top story. Welcome to Weather Center. I'm Terry Smith. We'll have a look at the conditions in the country in a moment. But first, all eyes are on the East Coast as Bonnie continues its journey. While many people headed inland on Tuesday, residents who decided to wait out Hurricane Bonnie spent Tuesday boarding up homes and businesses. Plywood sales skyrocketed as people put their hammers to good use in hopes of protecting their property. For the complete details on Hurricane Bonnie, let's join Warren Madden in the Forecast Center.
Thanks very much, Terry. In the whole of 1997, we dealt with one tropical system. That was Hurricane Danny. Now here we are in 1998. In the space of 1 week, we are dealing with two tropical systems. First, Tropical Storm Charlie coming ashore in Texas, and now Hurricane Bonnie threatening the southeast coast. Let's take a look at the latest details. These as of 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We are waiting for the new advisory from the National Hurricane Center that is due out at any moment. If it comes out while we're here on the air, we will bring that to you and let you know the latest details. But as of 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 215 miles south of Cape Lookout, that is where Bonnie was centered, moving north-northwest at 14 miles an hour and top wind speeds 115 miles an hour, which is a Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, a major hurricane. The watches and warnings reach the warnings reach from Chincoteague, Virginia, on down to Cape Romaine, South Carolina. In this area, hurricane warning in effect means that you could see hurricane force winds within the next 24 hours. Joining me now here in the Forecast Center is Senior Meteorologist Stu Ostro. Stu, we've been following the progress of Bonnie as it draws closer and closer to the coast. We're starting to see the tropical force winds getting along the coast. We're starting to see the rain bands coming on shore. What kind of weather can we expect through the overnight hours, and how might it affect the residents who are still along the coastline?
For the next several hours, we'll see perhaps a gradual increase in the wind along the coast. Those tropical storm force winds of 39 miles per hour or higher, continuing to move onshore, at least in gusts. The strongest winds associated with the hurricane are still a little farther offshore. We can see perhaps on the radar picture here, there we go, that you have a couple of these outer bands coming on, but then the heavier rain and wind in here, and we can just about see the circulation center. It looks like it really is forming an eye at this point, and the very strongest winds are right around the center in here. It will take a little longer for them to get on shore.
We are seeing a little bit of the yellows and the reds of the higher of the thunderstorm type echoes coming rotating around the storm. Is there a threat of severe weather with this whole thing?
There is. Typically, especially on the outer rain bands along the periphery of the hurricane, we can see tornadoes spin up. They happen very quickly. It's tough to really give much warning, and anyway, it's the middle of the night, so you can't really see them. But even during the day, they spin up very quickly, and we would advise people to be aware of them. And even if you don't get hit by a tornado, you just get hit by the hurricane winds themselves, which are up to 115 miles per hour. If you are in an area that did not evacuate, or even if you are, but for whatever reason you stayed behind, get away from the windows. Same thing as tornado safety rules, interior portion of the house.
Right, although if you are in a situation where you're in a coastal area, naturally the usual tornado safety rule of getting to the lowest level of the house may not be feasible because of the potential for flooding. In that case, get to an interior room on perhaps the second floor of the house. Let's look at the satellite picture now, and we can show you where the storm is at the present time. A very well-defined storm here, and you can really see that convection starting to wrap around the center of circulation.
You can. Over the course of the last several hours, we've seen these colder cloud tops, which is an indication that they're higher up in the atmosphere, wrap around the center right in here. So it's fairly well organized right around the center. We'll be watching to see whether the pressure, which is an indication of the overall intensity of the storm, drops over the course of the next few hours. So far, it's just fluctuated around a little bit.
Right. And of course, we'll be following the reports from the Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters as they fly the planes through to make sure to see what the conditions are, and we'll let you know as that information comes in. Well, Stu, thanks for joining us. We'll continue our coverage here through the night with Stu, and I'll be here through the night. And we'll be looking at where Bonnie is going, what it is doing now, what it is producing along the coast. And again, as soon as the new advisory from the National Hurricane Center comes out, we will have that for you. If you have to be away from your desk, let us let you know that there is another possibility for you to get your information away from your TV, rather. That is weather.com, our website. Point your web browser at weather.com for all the latest information. Let's head back now to the studio for the latest on the weather around the nation with Terry.
Okay, Warren, and we're going to start off by looking at what's happening in the western United States, because the remains of Tropical Storm Charlie still causing some problems in Texas, and lots of moisture throughout the New Mexico and Colorado, Wyoming area, spawning some showers and some thunderstorms this evening as well. This along a tail end of a front, so that's helping to enhance some of the convection that we're seeing. And we have seen some brief periods of heavy rain in eastern sections of New Mexico. You can see some of the thunder showers here moving off toward the east, and they're going to persist through the night tonight. And you might find some brief periods of heavy rain through the nighttime and on into the early morning hours. Same on into eastern Colorado. You can see earlier some thunderstorm activity. Now that has settled down, but still in the morning hours, sections of eastern Colorado may be dealing with some wet weather. Also want to take you into the northeast, where we've had some thunderstorms fire up here in the last couple of hours, moving rapidly off toward the east. Eastern Pennsylvania getting hit hard currently, but moving on into northern New Jersey, perhaps Long Island, Hartford, you may be looking at some rumbles of thunder later on in the morning hours. So keep that in mind as these storms continue to push off toward the east. All right, a forecast for tomorrow. Morning temperatures, very August-like. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. All eyes will be on Bonnie. It seems Bonnie will continue to move northward and skirt along the Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina coast, perhaps making landfall. The last advisory we had from the Hurricane Center indicated making landfall somewhere tomorrow in the early afternoon hours. And also a frontal boundary moving through the northeast. That's going to be producing some showers and thunderstorms as well. In the afternoon, we'll find the heating helping to contribute to some thunderstorm activity from Texas on into Colorado. So a wet day, East Coast and back into parts of the plains and the Rockies for your Wednesday. As far as rainfall amounts, of course, it's Bonnie that's going to cause the heaviest rains, maybe as much as 8 inches by the time the storm is done with. But also some areas in Texas and Colorado picking up some heavy rains. And there's your look at your temperatures on Tuesday. A warm day, particularly in Texas, where Dallas will see temperatures in the triple digits. Well, we want to make sure that you stay with the Weather Channel throughout the night for continuous updates on the progress of Hurricane Bonnie. TravelWise is next after your local forecast.
Everybody has suffered from the effects of a bad night's sleep, whether from minor back pain, heartburn, or just because you can't get comfortable. And the constant tossing and turning at night can make you feel like you're in the middle of a cliffhanger. We at Sleep Comfort want to mail you our free video and brochure showing how our adjustable bed can give you that better night's sleep you've always dreamed about. Our soothing massage and pillow top mattress gives you the feeling you're in a tropical paradise. And the dream gets better, because now adjustable beds have become affordable for everyone with no money down.
Time for Storm Watch, and we'll start Storm Watch with a look at what's happening with Hurricane Bonnie, what's happening in the Atlantic and the Pacific, and then we'll let you know about some rough weather we're experiencing currently in the Northeast. Starting off, though, with Bonnie, latest advisories in as of 2 o'clock this evening. According to the Hurricane Center, the center of Hurricane Bonnie now at 31.8 north, 77.3 west. It is centered about 200 miles south-southwest of Cape Lookout, North Carolina. The winds have remained the same. What is significant here is more of the change in the center and the direction of the hurricane. Instead of moving north-northwest as it has been for the last 6 hours or so, the hurricane center now believes it's moving in a more northwesterly direction, about the same speed, 14 miles per hour. Pressure has fluctuated very, very little. As a result of the movement, instead of being from the north-northwest but the northwest, hurricane warnings have now been extended a little bit further south down into Edisto Beach, South Carolina, and this does include the Charleston area. So from Edisto Beach to Chincoteague, hurricane warnings are in effect. Now, basically what this means is for you folks in South Carolina, north of Edisto Beach, hurricane conditions could be experienced by you within the next 24 hours or less. So a quick reminder, with hurricane warning, you want to do things like board up your windows, make sure you've got your furniture inside, have water available, including filling up your tub if you may lose water as a result of the hurricane moving on shore. Anything that's valuable, try to get it into something that is waterproof, papers, birth certificates, passports, those kind of things. Keep abreast of what's happening. The Weather Channel's here through the night. We'll continue to advise you. Have a radio available in case you lose electricity. And always good to have a little bit of cash on hand and a tank full of gas, because these things also tend to go down sometimes during hurricanes. So just bear that in mind. With Bonnie, we've been seeing very high surf for the last couple of days. As the storm gets closer to shore, we're going to see the surge, the storm surge, begin to rise as well. And as it makes landfall, the storm surge is expected to be somewhere between 9 to 11 feet. That is 9 to 11 foot rise in water. But on top of that, waves 3 to 5 feet high. So obviously a pounding along here along the coast. Tropical storm force winds extend out very far, so we should begin to feel some of those tropical storm force winds along the coastline here very shortly. And the hurricane force winds also extend out fairly far from the center as well, with the highest winds right around the center at 115 miles per hour. Heavy surf advisories are still in effect on either end of the hurricane watches and warnings from Cape Henlopen north up, including the Cape around Boston. And then from Savannah, Georgia on southward, the tides are still running high. And just one of those situations where if you don't have to go in the water, don't. You just don't know how tough that current can be, especially for folks who have not been in that kind of a situation. Here's Bonnie again. And you can see how the clouds have already begun to move into South and North Carolina. And as we look at the radar, still seeing rain just along the immediate coast around Elizabeth City, New Bern, and the Cape Hatteras area. Some showers getting ready to move on toward Wilmington here, perhaps. And you can got to get a idea that the center of the hurricane is somewhere down around here. Now let's look at some other things that are happening in the tropics, because we have this wave that we've been watching that has been kind of squashed by Bonnie. We'll have to monitor it now that Bonnie's moved a little bit further away. It doesn't look like it's going to develop in the next 24 hours, but it certainly bears watching. Danielle, on the other hand, has strengthened very rapidly and will continue to slowly strengthen in the next 24 hours as it continues on a west-northwest course. And then lastly, we'll take you into the Pacific, where we have Hurricane Howard, 120-mile-an-hour winds continuing to move away from shore, and probably will maintain its present strength for the next 24 hours. All right, time to head you back home. We've had some thunderstorms erupting from Texas on into the Rockies, and we've been watching closely the thunderstorm activity in the Northeast and the Great Lakes region, or I should say New England. Cold front moving through has been generating some fairly intense thunderstorms for this time of night. Look at the latest radar showing rain from just north of Philadelphia, northern Jersey, on through Long Island, through Hartford here, just on the southern ends of Boston. These thunderstorms have been moving off northeast. We've had reports of trees down, some small hail with these storms, and some brief heavy rain as well. Coming up next, a live report on what's happening with Bonnie from the Forecast Center with Warren and Stu. Stay with us.
Oh no, this mattress is too soft. Uh-oh, this mattress is too hard. But this body cushion makes any mattress just right. Introducing the Contour Cloud Body Cushion, designed to mold to the contour of your body as it aligns your spine for the best night's sleep of your life. The secret is memory foam, heat-sensitive material that molds to your entire body with unbelievable comfort, while its yellow lumbar support system supports your lower back in any position. Plus, its blue base helps support and align your entire spine. The Contour Cloud Cushion works on top of any mattress. This memory foam mattress costs almost $1,000. Now you can try the Contour Cloud free for 30 days. Keep it and we'll bill you 4 payments of only $19.95. But wait, we'll send you the Contour Cloud Pillow, a $20 value, free. We guarantee you the best night's sleep ever.
Hurricane warnings have been extended along the South Carolina coastline, including Charleston, as Bonnie moves closer to land this morning. Welcome to Weather Center. I'm Terry Smith. We'll have a look at the conditions around the rest of the country in a moment. But first, all eyes are on the East Coast as Bonnie continues its journey. Evacuations in some areas of North Carolina left highways jammed on Tuesday as people made their way inland trying to avoid Bonnie's wrath. But some people decided to wait out the storm and busily worked to put up plywood on their homes and businesses. For the complete details on Hurricane Bonnie, let's join Warren Madden in the Forecast Center.
Thank you very much, Terry. Throughout this evening and into the early morning hours, we have waited and watched as we hoped Bonnie would begin a northward turn. That would be the first sign that it was going to start recurving and heading back out to sea, perhaps after maybe a glancing blow at the Outer Banks of North Carolina. That turn has still not come, and we have still been watching as the storm continues to progress farther westward instead of beginning to turn to the northward. National Hurricane Center has noted this as also, and so as a result, they have extended the hurricane warnings southward to Edisto Beach, South Carolina. This now includes the area of Charleston, South Carolina. The northern periphery of the warning is still the same, Chincoteague, Virginia. As we look at the current details on the storm, this is the advisory as of 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Bonnie centered at 31.8 north, 77.3 west, or about 200 miles south-southwest of Cape Lookout. Winds and pressure holding steady, 115 miles an hour and 964 millibars, respectively. But notice the direction of movement. Previous movement had been north-northwest. We are now at a northwesterly movement at 14 miles an hour. Looking at our satellite picture, we can see that the center is fairly well defined here off the coast of the southeast, and it is progressing on a more of a northwesterly track here over the last couple of hours, and we are watching this approach carefully as it draws closer and closer to the coastline. Joining me now here in the Forecast Center is Senior Meteorologist Stu Ostro. We're starting to see a little more of a northwesterly turn, still maintaining forward speed at about 14 miles an hour. So where are we looking at the conditions starting to deteriorate along the coastline?
The strongest winds, the winds over 100 miles per hour, or for that matter even the hurricane force winds of 74 miles per hour or higher, are still a pretty good distance offshore and are not imminent along the coast. Over the next several hours, we'll look to see some of those tropical storm force winds continue to press on shore. They're starting to graze the coast in a few spots now.
Now, of course, we've seen now the warnings extended southward to include Charleston, and of course this area very sensitive to hurricanes due to Hugo a few years ago. Now, the implications of that warning being extended southward do not necessarily mean that the eye is going to suddenly veer leftward and head toward Charleston, do they?
What a hurricane warning means is that hurricane force winds are likely within the warned area in the near future, within the next 24 hours, in this case a little shorter than that. And given that the hurricane is three-dimensional, the hurricane force winds extend out from the center. As we can see here, the center of circulation right about in here, hurricane force winds perhaps in this area here. That's why the hurricane warnings are in effect for a large area. It is a large hurricane, so anybody within the warned area should be prepared for the potential for hurricane force winds. That doesn't necessarily mean that the exact center of the storm or the worst part of the storm will hit your particular spot.
Right. As we look at that wind field now, you can see that it is a very wide storm. Lots of hurricane force winds around the center, and the tropical storm force winds extend almost to the coast now. We're starting to see those graze the coast.
Yes, there are some gusts too in the range of 45 to 60 miles per hour in this yellow area here just offshore. A couple of squalls coming into the coast. We've seen a few gusts, but the strongest winds are still offshore in this area here.
One of the other things that we are certainly worried about is the storm surge. We're looking at the possibility of storm surges in the 8 to 12 foot range, and you add on top of that the tides and the wave action. We could be talking storm total wave heights of water 15 feet above what we typically see them this time of the year. That could mean some very dangerous flooding.
At least in the 8 to 12 foot range, and then the wave action on
Right.
top of that, which causes the erosion problems and the damage to the buildings.
Okay, well, Stu, thanks very much for joining us. We're continuing our coverage of Hurricane Bonnie right on through the night, and we will still be here right on through the night into the day here on Wednesday as Hurricane Bonnie closes in on the coastline of the southeast. If you have to be away from your TV, though, please do keep up to date on what's happening, especially if you live along the shores of the southeast. Check out our website at weather.com for all of the latest details and information from the National Hurricane Center and all the latest satellite imagery. Let's take it back to the studio now as we continue to cover what's happening around the rest of the nation. Some strong thunderstorms still rumbling around in parts of the New England area into the Hudson River Valley. Back to Terry Smith.
Okay, Warren, and we still do have a lot of active weather even at this late hour in the west and also in New England. We start with the satellite picture of the west, and you can see a lot of cloudiness here. This is the remnants of Charlie, dumping some heavy rain still around the Del Rio region, and thunderstorms on up into Colorado and also into Utah. These are in some degree influenced by this frontal boundary here, a little bit of an upslope flow at the lower levels, and on the higher levels a southerly flow, and some rather heavier rains portions of Colorado earlier today. Right now, though, it's eastern sections of New Mexico moving on into the Texas Panhandle where we're finding some heavy rains, and also down into the Del Rio region, continuing to see the rain since Friday and Saturday. We've been really putting up with a lot of rain. And here's some of the thunderstorms into Kansas and Colorado. These will likely continue through the evening hours. The other area that we're watching in New England and the Northeast, thunderstorms in northern areas of New Jersey produced hail earlier, some gusty winds that brought some trees down, that kind of thing, and some brief periods of heavy rain. So it's going to be a little unsettled here through the nighttime and on into the morning as we begin the morning commute. Wednesday morning temperatures, check them out, fairly typical for this time of year. What's not so typical is to be watching a hurricane working its way on in the Carolina coast, still thinking it's going to be taking something of a northerly turn and then eventually working its way northeast out into the Atlantic. That's what we're hoping for here, that thing moves out to sea. Cold front in the northeast bringing some rainfall there as well, and afternoon heating in the west will touch off some thunderstorms from Denver down into Albuquerque, New Mexico. The rainfall amounts are going to be particularly heavy for parts of the east, particularly North Carolina, perhaps anywhere from 5 to 8 inches of rain. And a look at our temperatures showing a warm day for much of the country on Wednesday. Well, stay with us throughout the night. We're going to have continuous updates on the movement of Hurricane Bonnie. But coming up next is TravelWise after your local forecast.
Everybody has suffered from the effects of a bad night's sleep, whether from minor back pain, heartburn, or just because you can't get comfortable. And the constant tossing and turning at night can make you feel like you're in the middle of a cliffhanger. We at Sleep Comfort want to mail you our free video and brochure showing how our adjustable bed can give you that better night's sleep you've always dreamed about. Our soothing massage and pillow top mattress gives you the feeling you're in a tropical paradise. And the dream gets better, because now adjustable beds have become affordable for everyone.